Good evening, Council. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. It is 6 p.m., and I will call this meeting of the Barre City Council to order. Council, are there any adjustments to the agenda? I'm going to suggest that we move the fee schedule, which is item 8F. We move that up to the consent agenda under 8E. The manager has one brief item that he'd like to address under that issue. And then the manager and I will be having under 8F, if there's no objection, we'll be giving the council a little presentation and discussion on streets and paving. Do you have any other adjustments? Yes, sir.
I would just note that it's not technically an adjustment, but I did send the council a contract for approval that would be approved under, I think it's agenda item 4D.
Yep, we did receive that.
Yep, so just to flag that, while it was not in the packet, it was emailed to you ahead of the meeting.
It certainly was. Any other items, council? If not, a motion to approve the agenda would be in order.
So moved.
Thank you. It's moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Under visitors and communications, anyone wishing to address the council regarding an item that is not on the agenda? Yes, Amy, how are you?
I thought I would just give a couple quick updates about Central Vermont Solid Waste Management District. So I'm on the consent agenda to be reappointed, but just a couple things that have come up there recently. There has been coverage like in the Times Argus and in Front Porch Forum and other places about updates. But if people aren't aware, as they're doing their spring cleaning, the Alternatives Recycling Center that used to be in the north end of Barre, kind of behind Dollar General, has been closed since the flooding. They have opened up the new Eco Depot up on Granger Road in Berlin, so that's open now. They do ask for appointments. That's partly so they can manage their workload as their staff get trained on using the new space and the new items that they can take. And hopefully it also keeps people from having to wait in line, that you can show up, get in, and get out promptly. It just takes a little bit more planning ahead of time. They've been expanding the number of hours, but as the city rep, if those hours are not working for people, I'd like to hear about it. So if you get feedback from any of your constituents about, I tried to go there and I couldn't get an appointment that worked for my work schedule, that sort of thing. They have been adding more Saturday hours, but residents are mostly Monday, Wednesday, Friday, kind of mid-morning and mid-afternoon. They do list on their website other options for some items. There's some that you can take to, say, Staples or Computer Barn or stores that sell paint, that sort of thing, so you don't necessarily have to take it there. And these are for items that you can't just put in your regular blue bin. They're also able now to accept hazardous waste year-round. So instead of doing collection events that they used to do around the district, which actually costs some money to set up those events and have contractors come and load and pack the materials and that sort of thing, they're moving to just ongoing year-round. When you find something you need to get rid of, take it there and get it taken care of. They're doing a few events in kind of the farther parts of the district, like Tunbridge and Hardwick. So hopefully that helps people out. I was chatting with Councilor Guston a little bit when I came in about her experience trying to deal with the non-residential side of things. So I'm curious about how businesses are doing, and she can speak to that as far as some complications, maybe some things that could be streamlined for businesses. We do, as taxpayers, the Solid Waste Management District is a municipality, so there is an assessment for that that's built into the city budget. Barre City is the largest municipality in the district, so we're paying collectively the most into it. So we should get our money's worth, out of it. So if there are issues for the city, I don't know if there's anything to the city projects at the DPW garage moving, the auditorium renovation. If you're finding materials, I would say reach out to the Solid Waste Management District and hopefully they'll help us. If anybody has gotten back from the era when it was the alternatives recycling, some of the recycling bins and compost bins that they sold before, they're trying to sell out their inventory of the compost bin parts. So if something's broken, they're selling the last few of those, and they do have some recycling bins for free. So if anybody needs those for themselves or tenants, that sort of thing, they have those available. They have updates on their website. They have an email list. They're doing a good job, I think, posting on Front Porch Forum and Facebook and that sort of thing. But if folks have questions from constituents, let me know.
Thank you. Questions? Yes.
Just one comment. They were actually at the school district at Barre City talking with 7th and 8th graders about some of those things. So
Yeah.
it's
Was
nice
that
to
with-
see that outreach.
Was that with the event that they did down in Randolph and then also brought a speaker up to the city?
Not really sure.
Okay, they had
I know
one
it was-
event, they were planning to do something, I think that was at the elementary school.
Yeah, they were just, classes were going out, talking. It was really nice.
Great.
Any other questions?
Just
Yes.
just an add is that I've been able to make an appointment and bring some of my own stuff up already, and that, yeah, I did find it a little more complicated from the organizational side for work, to do the paperwork, but we chatted about that earlier. It's just a few more hoops to jump through than it used to be.
We have our
That's
monthly
all.
meeting tomorrow night, so I'll give them that feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks.
Appreciate you serving the city. Mr. Tallman, did you have your hand up? Please.
I handed this, so we'll have to refill the thing here. This is a request for a permit for a parade
Oh, okay.
for Memorial Day. And also would like to make an invitation for your council to join us that day. As you see, it'll be on the 25th of March because of the way things fall. I mean, excuse me, May. I'm a month behind. So anyways, yes, and we'd like to have you there, so.
Yeah, I have your invitation right here, Ron, and I'll make sure I get it out to the entire council.
I appreciate it
Thank
very
you.
much, definitely. And we have one other comrade here who'd like to talk to you a little bit about an issue that we're trying to proceed with.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Yep.
Is it okay?
Actually, you're a little later on the
That's fine.
agenda, gentlemen.
I came up with Ron because he asked.
For later, that's fine.
You have that effect on people, Ron, but you're actually a little later in the agenda, and we have approved the
That's fine.
agenda. We do need to stick to
Thank
it.
you, and then we look forward to seeing you at the event, okay?
I think we all look forward to being there.
All right,
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Anyone else under visitors and communications? Yes, Rose Byrne? Byrne Rose, thank you.
It's always good.
How are you?
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's good. And as the mayor said, I am Byrne Rose. I just have a question that two questions that came up while I've been out visiting with people. One is I came across this posting by the bridge on Prospect Street that says a potential threat to public health. There was recently a sewage release or other untreated discharge. I'm sure you know what the rest of the sign is. It's not signed or dated. And I just want to know is that ongoing? And how are we looking to remedy that? Do we have a plan for that?
I don't believe that's ongoing.
It's not ongoing.
That was a one-time
time
event, and it
limited.
was posted at all waterways. I'll let the manager address that.
Yeah, it was a time-limited event. We did it was out of abundance of caution, did the notifications, there's no issue with it. Currently, it was just a matter, of course, of doing the required notifications of the possibility of contamination, but it's been addressed and there's no issue.
Okay, so when we have a storm, it doesn't happen again?
No.
Okay, that's not the information that I got, but thank you for,
From where? You said
From-
that's not the information you got from the city? I just want to
no,
make sure we're
from,
not.
from people who do water testing there.
Yeah, no.
There's water testing that goes on, and it's not, they said there's still E. coli that's being
I
found
mean,
in the water system.
there's monitoring ongoing all the time as
Yeah.
part of our AOD, but I mean, it doesn't like surface
Well-
up because of a storm.
Well, at any time, it sounds like it's still happening. So maybe that's something we can look into and make sure that whoever's doing that testing has accurate data.
Our wastewater is very, 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 very regulated. It's very difficult for anything to happen in our wastewater system without the state knowing about it or us reporting it to the state. So, I encourage people to the data's publicly posted on the state's website. I encourage people to look at it. We're under an assurance of discontinuance order, so we're particularly, conscientious about staying in compliance with that. There's no, if there's any issues like that, we're being very proactive about it, as such as those notices demonstrate.
Okay, I will ask more about it. So if I find anything different, I'll get back to you. Is that the best thing to do, Nicholas? Okay, thank you.
Can I say something? I'm sure every municipality has E. coli tested, so I don't think we're any different. I'm sure everyone does that. You have to, it's part of the process. So like the city manager said, that's an ongoing thing. Do we present it when there's a huge backflush? No, but it's an ongoing process. Am I correct?
Are you saying that it's ongoing, that E. coli is
Well,
going
they
into
always
the
test
river?
it. You always got to test for that. That's common. Every
I'm not talking about a
municipality-
test, I'm talking about the evidence of E. coli bacteria in the water system by the Prospect Street Bridge. So that's all, that's what I was asking about. Yes, we want to test, and there is testing of the river, and that's what information I heard about, so I was just checking on it, because when I was doing Green Up, I came across the sign, and that was this past weekend, and this is the first time I've had really a chance to ask about it. And then the other thing, somebody else that I was talking with asked me, and I want to be able to give a good answer, because I really support the new DPW campus. I mean, that's like a no-brainer to me. Is it being stalled in Act 250? And if so, is there anything that we can do that the community can do to help make sure that goes through?
Is it under Act 250?
Yeah, well, they said that we weren't being
Yes.
able to do anything because we were tied up in Act 250 stuff.
Well, there will need to be an Act 250 determination. That site is under Act 250 jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So there will need to be an Act 250 determination. I don't know
Right.
whether the commission will treat that as a minor, or they'll treat that as a full application.
Yeah, I can address that. I mean,
Thanks.
we understand that an abutter is going to file an appeal, so we've preemptively requested a hearing, which will extend the time period for a little bit longer. I don't think there's anything to be done besides we have the city attorney working on it, and the engineers who were contracted to work on the project will respond to the Act 250 and will guide the application through the Act 250 process. It's not like a situation where people sort of show up and voice support for it. There's a process where that the commission follows and how they adjudicate it. But the city attorney and our engineers are they're well into the depth of working on the process and getting it through there. Will it cause delays? Yes.
I guess I will, that's good information, because I want to get back to people and be supportive of that, and not have people be making negative comments about it, because I think it's really, really important, and I fully support that project. So thank you for filling me in on that.
Sure.
And if I have any other things like that come up, Nicholas, is it okay to just like call you or
Yeah, of course.
email you? Okay.
Bern, I
We'll
had
do
a
that.
question before you leave. So you're talking about testing. Are you talking about testing at the Prospect Street Bridge, correct? And Mr.
Talking
Manager,
about testing in the
Yep.
water of the river, yes.
Mr. Manager, you're talking about testing at the wastewater treatment facility,
Yes.
correct?
I think I think they're separate issues.
They are.
What happened, we do testing anyway, and we do testing as part of our AOD. The notices that were part of this was because there was a sewer line issue that was surfacing, and so we proactively, but also in compliance with state rules, posted notices of what had occurred. When the sewer line issue was fixed, the issue went away, right? So I think there's two different issues that got
Yes.
conflated. This notice was posted in response to a specific event, and it was posted in compliance with all state rules and regulations, and that's why you found it where you did. But there's testing that happens separately from that.
Yes,
Is
I'm
the
aware of
testing
that.
done at the Prospect Street Bridge where the other testing is done?
No.
So it
and
was
that's-
actually posted, Counselor Spaulding, you and I had one in our neighborhood at the corner of the Edgewood Brook, 2 miles upstream from Prospect Street. Obviously,
We should just take the
effluent
sign
water, E.
down.
coli, can't flow uphill.
No,
So,
I mean, we should just take the sign down.
right, but I actually did. You're welcome. Yeah. I waited a while, and then it rained, it got a little soggy, you couldn't read it anyway. I called Brian and said, can I take this sign down? And he said, sure.
Great. Well, that's good news. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
My
Thank
biggest concern, though, is that if we have other information that you're saying an outside group is testing the water at Prospect where the bridge is, saying that there's a presence of E. coli, but we in the city aren't testing that, we should probably,
That's, if I could just intervene, that's, the testing that's happening is coordinated with the city. We have a supplemental environmental project that included E. coli testing.
at the Prospect Bridge.
I don't know at what, I couldn't tell you what locations they do
But
it.
I think
if
it
they're-
would be important for us to be able to test at the same site that they're getting positive results from.
I don't know that anyone
yeah.
got positive
So
results.
but if a group is, if
I'll
somebody's
find out. I'll
reporting,
get more information
I think
and
it
I'll
would
bring
be-
it back to Nicholas.
and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is if you have a group that's saying that they have positive results for E. coli, but we're not testing that site, I mean, because we're not anyway, but it would be important to know if there's E. coli there.
So I think
Somebody
there's
tested.
there's ongoing testing that's happening in
Yeah,
the river, so.
Honestly, folks, I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves with
So-
some of this information. I really have faith that TJ and his team, that they are compliant.
Sure.
That the manager understands what's going on, that he is compliant. You know, I'm not aware of rogue testers
No, but
running
what-
around the city testing our waterways.
And that's not what I was
And if they
presenting.
want to present results to TJ or Nicholas, they could certainly do that, but I'm just not aware that that's happening.
I'll just check and see what else I can find out for you.
Thank you.
Excellent,
I
thank you.
appreciate that.
Can I ask just a follow-up?
Of course.
And this is just about the posting itself. Is there like a limited amount of time that it's supposed to be up? Or is it like, is there like a posting
Yeah,
requirement?
I think it's time limited.
hours.
I can verify the time, I don't know the time frame off the top of my head, but it's limited and it's also limited to the impacted area. So that's why we didn't do a regroup because it was targeted and
Yeah.
it was hard to like sort of narrow it
Yeah,
down
I
that
get
way.
that.
But yeah, there's rules about how soon after the event happens, you're supposed to notice it, and then how long after the event happens, they have to be up.
Yeah, the
And then-
sign says 48 hours on that sign.
But no, my question is if, I don't know when this happened, and it's, if the sign isn't dated, there's no way to know, but then do we take them down?
They normally they would.
Because then
Yeah.
there could cause concern and confusion if it's not taken down.
Like we're
And,
doing right now.
yeah, and maybe it's a non-issue, so,
Sure.
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome. Kat, did you have a question or a comment? No?
Me and my counselor were like simpatico. That's my mind.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else under visitors and communications? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, council will move on to the consent agenda. We'll be approving the minutes of 4/21/26. I don't believe I saw any licenses or permits come across from the clerk's office, so there are none. We'll be doing the volunteer reappointments for the DRB Planning Commission, Buildings and Facilities, PAC, and Central Vermont Solid Waste Management District. I will read those into the record in a moment, and we'll be authorizing the manager to execute two contracts. One contract is in the amount of $382,668. That will be funded from the proceeds of a 2019 $2.5 million bond, and that is with Avery Excavation Incorporated. They will be replacing approximately 670 feet of open trench and trenchless water main piping, and that will be, I believe, in the Berlin Street.
Berlin Street, Lower Berlin Street, yeah.
Thank you very much. And then manager also has, and I apologize, this contract that I just described, that was not in your packet, but it was emailed to you separately, so you should all have it. And then also the manager has one other contract that is for with Hamline University for the Adopt a Drain program. Total contract cost is $14,525.53. And that was pursuant to the approval. City Council approved $15,000 at its November 5th, 2025 meeting. $8,000 is coming from the Brewster Trust and $7,000 from the Special Projects Fund. Any questions on the contracts, Council? So if there's no objection, excuse me, I'll read the names of the appointees into the minutes. The Development Review Board, we have Sarah Hellman, who is reappointed to a 4-year term expiring June 30th, 2030. On the Planning Commission, we have Wendy Ducey, who will be reappointed to a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2029. On the Buildings and Facilities Committee, we have Charlie Atwood, Bernie Allen, Art Desereau, Paula Dolan, and Matt Flaherty. They will be reappointed to 2-year terms, so those will be expiring on June 30th, 2028. On the Police Advisory Committee, we have Steve England, Eli Poa Mutino. They will be reappointed to 2-year terms expiring June 30th, 2028. And then to the Central Vermont Solid Waste Management District, we will be appointing Amy Galford as the member, Peter Anthony as the alternate. They will be reappointed to a 1-year term expiring on June 30th, 2027. Any questions or comments, council? Yes.
Not on the appointments, but I have a question on the fee schedule. Are we
Of course.
there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sorry, and we will be adding the fee schedule to that as well.
Can you tell me about storm drain connections and the new fee for that?
Yeah, so that is a fee. So right now, people can apply for connections to our storm drain system, and they don't have to pay for it. And so this is a fee we've been trying to get in. It would be a fee to account for the cost of reviewing the application, any connections to our system, and the volume associated with it. So it would be a new fee. We don't do a lot of these every year. I would say that I think the last time I tried this, we tried with Brian. I think he mentioned there were 3 to 5 applications per year, so it's not very many. But right now, if they come through, there's nothing to preclude them being approved, and there's no way for the city to collect revenue off of it.
And what is the difference between this and a sort of regular water and sewer connection?
That's for a water system connection, so drinking water and sewers for the waste. So, yeah. Yeah, I would mention on this that there's one fee listed in here under, I believe, the clerk's office that I had proposed to increase, which was the copies of city files just going from 5 cents per sheet to 10 cents per sheet, and 9 cents for double-sided to 20 cents for double-sided. In speaking with Carol, I understand that to make a change in what we charge per sheet, we have to document actual costs. We can't. And if we can't, we have to revert to what the state charges. And so I would say we can just revert to the state fees, which is 5 and 9 cents, and we can revisit it at a later point. It's not a huge, change or a huge deal, so.
Any objection, council, to that? Okay, yes.
My question is also regarding the fees, and then I just have a couple small things for the minutes. But since we're on the fees, I thought, my question is, why are there no increases to the Civic Center fees? Specifically, I'm thinking about the auditorium because we're doing all of the work on it, and I would think that we'd be able to ask for a higher fee.
Yeah, that's something we grapple with. We sort of struggle between, or trying to find the balance between affordability and revenue generation. So I think we're still in a position where I think it's still in the right spot. We're getting a lot of interest, but we also don't want to price ourselves out. A lot of the, we want to be in an attractive venue for people to come look at. I think you're absolutely right, Councilor. I think once the work is done, because part of it is also we'll have only about half the year with the new work. So I think once the work is done, I think this is certainly an area that we would revisit. But yeah, it's basically a balance of making sure it's affordable and attractive to people who want to do events, and also making sure we're covering revenue. And right now, we feel like it's at a good spot.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and statutorily, Counselor, we can amend those fees mid-year if we felt that it was warranted, and hopefully it will be. Hopefully with those amenities, that will be a very popular facility for the city and a revenue generator.
Is there any revenue that's owed to us for that hasn't been paid?
I'm sorry?
Are there any people who have rented it who have not paid?
Yeah, there's
Not significant.
No, there's always like there's sort of like a lag on accounts receivable. But if to the extent people go over their allotted time, they get sent to delinquent collections, and we go after them. And what we do is we don't rent or confirm bookings for anybody who has a delinquent account with us. So if there's somebody who hasn't paid for last year or the last season, and they want to make an appointment or a booking for the following year or whatever, it's an annual event or whatever the case may be, we won't book that event until the prior balance is paid.
Is that one reason why there's no more like MMA fighting here? Because of lack of payment, or basketball for that matter, or no? I just hear stories, I'm just curious.
Yeah, and, I mean, Counselor, I'm not aware that there are, but those are all public record. If someone, so I don't know that,
'cause
the
it's
manager's in a
quite a-
position to tell you, you know, who does or doesn't owe the city, but if you want to look into it, I'm sure there's a list that's maintained at the clerk's office.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have two small things for the minutes, if I may. There's under adjustments to the agenda, Counselor Bergeron has an extra R in his name. And
Change your name, Counselor.
Because it's pronounced
And it says the next regular meeting is scheduled for April something something. And so I'm sure you've already, yeah.
We've already heard it.
And I apologize for not emailing you sooner. And that's
worries.
it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Counsel? Hearing none, all those in, sorry? Oh, he's not going to change his name? All right, fine, be like
We have
that.
to get the whole granite thing redone.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion is carried. Thank you very much, Council. We'll move on to item 4A on the agenda. This is to approve city warrants of 5/6/26 and ratify the week of 4/29/26.
So moved.
Thank you
Second.
very much. It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, any abstention?
Yes, please.
So noted. Thank you. Ms. City Clerk, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good, getting ready for the Super Bowl, huh?
Oh, goodness, yes. So I'm going to go in order of the events as they happen. Thursday, May 7th at 5 PM, there is a Board of Civil Authority meeting here in the council chambers. And what we discuss is the election process, the layout of the election floor, and who will be working on those at the polls, and which BCA members will be manning their tables. And anybody is welcome to attend these meetings. They are on Zoom, so you can go to the agenda and get that link for the Zoom meeting. Secondly, the election is a week from today at Alumni Hall, because the auditorium is closed for renovations and updates. We have a very large and accommodating room at level 2. It is accessible by elevators and stairway. There will be a greeter at the door to help navigate where the elevators are, even though signage will be over in abundance. And there will be, or to guide you to the stairway if that's the route you choose. And also, in addition to the election being on May 12th, it is a date where the clerk's office is closed. It will be closed for the entire day, so you won't be able to come into, and it's leading into my very last announcement, you won't be able to come in to pay taxes on that day. The fourth quarter taxes are due May 15th, and the taxes are due by 4:30 PM, whether you pay online, whether you come in, or you use a drop box. Currently, we are still taking payments that have the postmark prior to the due date. So those are my 3 or 4 announcements. Any
Question?
questions?
Yes, Counselor.
How many absentee ballots have you sent out?
I did not even figure that one.
Oh, man.
Any other questions for the clerk? Okay, thank you very much. I don't believe we have anything under liquor and cannabis control. So, Mr. Manager, it's up to you.
All right, thank you. A couple updates for the council and the public. Just summer construction season is well underway. And that means this week we had closures on Camp Street. And Camp Street will actually have disruptions for a couple of weeks until we get it ready for paving. It's closed the rest of this week between Hill and Tremont, I believe, or Delmont. But it's closed up there anyhow. This is also a good reminder to sign up for Regroup. Regroup's great for winter parking ban notices, but it's also really good for the street closure notices. They come right to your phone, just like the winter parking ban. It's the fastest way to get it. You don't have to go look for it. You don't have to go to Facebook to look for it. You don't have to go to the website. It comes right to you. So another good reminder, if you, like myself, have driven down trying to go to Camp Street and realize you have to turn around, that it's a good way to stay informed. Just a note that I mentioned last week that Deputy Fire Chief Joe Walsworth retired. His official last day with the city was April 30th after almost 19 years of service. So I know I've heard from members of the public who want to celebrate Joe. Just want to let folks know that we will be recognizing him at the May 19th council meeting. So if they would like to attend, that meeting will have a resolution for Joe, and he'll be here. We've confirmed he will be here to receive it. And then I posted, we added to our social media and to the website today that the yard waste disposal site in Barrytown is now available for use by Barre City residents. The hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., Saturdays 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The flyer that's posted on our website and on social media has all the guidelines, so I just ask that, Barre City residents who use it are respectful. Only bring materials that are allowed to be dumped there. This is a really nice collaboration between the city and the town, and we certainly want to keep it going. I also know that the Barre Town manager mentioned that the Thursday hours were possible this year due to a Barre City volunteer. So I don't know who that individual was, but I appreciate that somebody volunteered so that people from the region can have an additional day to go dump yard waste. And so if there are other people interested in volunteering, they can contact me and I will put you in touch with the folks up in the town. And then finally, just since it's the last meeting before town meeting day where residents will vote on many things, including the budget, just wanted to remind folks about the numbers we landed on this year for the proposed budget. The FY27 budget came in at $15.8 million. Of that amount, 11.3 million is to be raised by local taxes, which represents a 5% increase from the amount for last year. We are using $255,000 of fund balance in our reserves to keep the tax rate manageable, that we hit the target that was set by the council of 5%. And it also, as we do every year, we do a lot of ways to create new non-tax revenue. We do a lot of savings, this year we were over $400,000 in a combination of non-tax revenues and savings. And every dollar we raise in a non-tax revenue format or that we save obviously lowers the tax rate. This year, the big changes were on the non-tax revenue side. We're recognizing more ambulance revenue. The COSI fund continues to grow, and we're recognizing that interest. So those are all great things. They help to keep the tax rate low. And then we're also doing, I think this budget's really important in that it's responsible and frugal, but it's also bringing back some really popular services, including the popular downtown bike patrols, the Barre Bees. That was something that came back with strong support in the budget survey. Chief Vale has hired the first bee. The first bee is ready to go. So we are ready to not only have it funded, but it's ready to be implemented, which is really exciting. In addition, the budget also supports all our very important partners. The work we do is not by ourselves, so we were able to fully fund the requests from the Barre Area Development Corporation, the Barre Partnership, the Aldrich Library, and Green Mountain Transit. So it's a budget, like I said, it stayed within our means, it stayed within the targets we were given, and it does things that people really wanted it to do. The line-by-line budget is posted on our website, as is every presentation I made to the City Council since we started the process in January. So I encourage people who want to dive into it. It's there for the reviewing and reading. There was an op-ed in the Times-Argus that was published, I think, last week. It was also published on Front Porch Forum, where I laid out some of the other details of the budget. I think it's a responsible budget. I think we had a great process, and I hope residents will be able to support it on Tuesday.
Yes.
I should know this, but whatever happened to the budget with the liaison for the homeless? Did the state pay for that, or we pay for it?
We're incorporating revenue from that, and hopefully we'll get as much as we get from the state.
So they haven't come through yet with,
No, but they'll have till the end of session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's pending, I believe it is tacked onto a bill. Last time I checked with with Representative Wazazak, that was tacked onto a bill, and I believe he feels
I think he feels
fairly
good about it.
confident that will be funded on behalf of the city. Yes.
Nicholas, just for the Camp Street closure?
Yeah.
Is that just during work hours? Because I know the community softball girls are on that field.
I believe so. Yeah, it is, because I've been up there in the evenings and it's been accessible. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Yep, sure. And I don't know if you noticed, but the dugouts up there
Very
have
nice,
been
yeah.
renewed,
Yeah,
and they
they're
look
nice
very,
now.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it will be that way through the duration of, there may be certain stretches where, they do have to leave it closed overnight. But I know their goal was to be able to reopen the street to limited traffic, obviously.
You know as well as I do, the parking up there is.
Well, yeah, of course, Nelson Street is closed now too, so we've seen an uptick in people, most people realize that Nelson Street is closed through traffic, but now that Camp Street gets closed during the day, we're seeing a real uptick because folks figure they can just sneak up to Nelson and go through, and then they get about halfway down and they're sad. So I'm probably going to grab one of your signs and just put it up there during the day when I leave for work, because it'll help, and then I'll take it down when I get home. But it's great to see the guys out there. We appreciate the progress, and we appreciate them. Any other questions for the city manager?
Not a question, just building on what you just said, Mayor, a purely personal, I've seen a lot of potholes that I've been dodging for a while start to get filled.
Yeah.
I
You
can
will.
finally drive up Elm Street again without fearing for my rims. So that's been really a pleasant surprise. I feel like every time I turn a corner, there's a new pothole filled. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
especially since the fact that we are doing the states, not their job, but Route 14 and 302, 95% of the people, I should say that high, a good part of the people don't realize that's not the responsibility of Bear City, it's the state. So excellent trying to help out with that, I mean, because it's really made a difference.
Absolutely. And we'll be covering some of that during, like I said, when the manager and I do a paving streets presentation a little later in the meeting, we'll be covering that. So any other questions for the manager, council? Okay, then we will move on to new business. Under 8A, we have a volunteer appointment for the Planning Commission. Kat Allen, how are you?
Hello.
Why don't you come right up, introduce yourself, tell us a little about yourself and your interest in the Planning Commission position?
Sure. So I'm Kat Allen. I'm a Barre City resident and business owner. However, my day job is a public sector consultant specializing in modernization and policy. And so I feel like I have a very unique skill set that can be used positively on the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Kat, may I call you Kat?
Yeah, of
I always
course.
call you Kat. So, I ask everyone this question, you understand the demands, Planning Commission especially, it guides the entire city, process, zoning and redevelopment process, so you understand how important that position is. You've probably been to a few meetings or watched a few meetings, and you understand the time commitment, you're prepared to make that?
Yeah, I've very recently been working on a proposal that'll be presented at Planning Commission next week. That I also worked with the state-level Department of Health, Treasury Administration, Liquor and Lottery, as well as becoming very familiar with Act 250 land use regulations in order to prepare that proposal. So again, I feel like I have a very unique skill set that allows me to learn that information very quickly and to be able to translate it into things that are beneficial for the community.
Great, thank you. Any other, yes?
I have a question. So Kat, I've never met you, but I guess my question is, you seem like you're pretty negative about the new beer shop that went in on Barre, in Barre City. So, if you're in the Planning Commission, would that have been a no on your part?
I've never met you either, and I don't always love the way you talk, so.
No, but if you're gonna be, no, but.
No, and
You're the
I'm
one that's
not
applying for the
actually, I'm
position.
not actually negative about the new beer shop. What I am concerned about as a person who owns a business in downtown is that we have a very strong clustering and saturation of beer and tobacco shops.
Used furniture, used clothing shops, bars.
Did you read the packet that I prepared that talks about
Just
the
look for
economic
people.
and socioeconomic? So let's talk. There is a
Yeah,
huge.
I keep my gavel.
I know.
In the drawer, because I just
would
don't like
highly-
taking it out, but we're getting.
I would highly recommend that you
Free
read through the
enterprise.
packet. Read
Excuse
through
me
the
both.
packet.
We're getting a little off topic. I would be happy you shared your proposal with me. I did read it, thank you.
It went to
And
all
I'd be
of the
happy to,
counselors.
I'd be happy to share it with the
The
rest of the.
updated version went to all of the
sorry?
counselors yesterday.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The updated version went to all of the counselors yesterday in addition to Janet so that she could preview it. I've also been working with Janet to make sure that it aligns with the current zoning initiatives that already exist, as well as being aligned with the municipal plan. So no, I actually think they're very nice people, and I have no qualms about them particularly. I have concerns that there are 18 businesses that sell the same type of regulated products in a mile and a half of each other, and whether or not that is healthy for the economic development of our downtown district.
Totally hear you and I agree with that. But coming from Barre, born and brought up here, always been in business. I own businesses now. It's free enterprise. Okay, when we grow Barre, we'll grow a better commerce system and we'll get better people. But right now, it's up to the landlord, not up to people coming in saying, I don't like that business. I don't think they should be here.
Well-
That's a little blunt, but that's kind of what happened.
Well, actually, so I talked to the guys before council and we talked after council. Like, it's nothing personal against
say
them.
no.
But if you have the exact same businesses that are selling from the same catalog of products, that's also not
Gonna go out of
setting up.
business If it's saturated.
Right, but we don't want that in our designated
You get someone
downtown
else in there.
area. I think I would highly recommend reading the proposal because it's very
That's what my
specific.
question is.
Am I the right person to be on planning commission?
I'm sorry?
Am I the right person to be on planning commission? I also,
No, when you look at things like that, just
Uh-huh.
have an open mind on everyone's trying to make a living in business. It's hard.
ooh, I do, but I also specialize in liquor and tobacco regulation and have worked with 12-level state jurisdictions on healthy
lived in Barre?
policy. I've lived in Barre for 4 years. I was brought here on a government contract to work for the state.
Barry's
But
pretty, this is a lot of history in Barre.
I think you need to
Council,
read the
motion to approve
proposal.
would be in order.
Motion?
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, welcome aboard, Cap.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Councilor Spalding. Okay, council, we'll move to item 8B on the agenda. This is to consider the Veterans Council request for a Blue Star Memorial at Denty Park. Gentlemen. So no quid pro quo? You don't say, hey, Ron, come up here with me?
Called out.
Ron, you did it to
I
him.
just discovered before the meeting that he's a Red Sox fan, so he can sit with us.
That's even better.
If he was a pinstripe, that wouldn't have happened.
No, that's not gonna happen with pinstripes.
Well, I'm happy to say they're in the doghouse again, so I can root for him as an underdog. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for the time this evening. I know you have a busy agenda, and we'll try to be concise. My name is Jeff Marr, Barre City resident. I'm the spokesperson this evening for a coalition of the Barre Veterans Coalition and the Granite Center Gardening Club. Renee and Chip and Ally are also in support here this evening. Some of us wear more than one hat. The Elks, you see the bulleted list that I had given the city manager. It's always my belief that you don't just read from your bullet points. So what I'd like to do before we get into the nitty-gritty of the proposal is just, by way of a quick story, introduce the Blue Star Memorial marker, if you're not very familiar with it. I can never remember a time when I didn't like American history. And I know the catalyst for that was my grandparents. One grandmother in particular, when we had Sunday dinner, which we had every Sunday for decades, she took us out to the back porch, which was a screened-in porch in a 3-story tenement where she lived, which our family owned, by the way, because that's how things were done back in the day. Families banded together. My grandmother lived on the 3rd floor. My 2 great aunts lived on the 2nd and 1st floors. So as kids, it was a great place to grow up. I digress a bit, but I want you to understand that this is a very passionate issue for me, and it originates in these stories that were told to me. In her case, she was a Rosie the Riveter type during World War II, not in the steel mills, but in the textile mills of Fall River, Massachusetts, where she worked on war contracts for uniforms, blankets, and the like. She sat us down one afternoon. I must have been 7 or 8 years old. I remember this distinctly. And she talked to us about what were then called the Blue Star banners, sometimes called the service banners. I'm sure some of you have seen them. They're red, a triangular red border surrounding a block of white with a blue star in the middle. And if you had more than one service person in service during World War II, you put as many as you had in the family. And what really stuck in my mind that afternoon when she told us this story is that street where she lived, Weedamo Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, an old textile town, that street up and down both sides of the street during the war, especially as the years went on, was covered with those banners. And I'm always thinking as I go through the streets of Barre, especially as I came down here tonight, that I imagine in a town, slightly smaller scale, but in a town very similar to Fall River, that would have been the same here too. Fast forward to 1945, in September of that year, the war ends, the Pacific Theater is closed, the war is blessedly over. You have tens of thousands of demobilized service people coming back to the U.S. from overseas every month for the next 12 months. The National Gardening Federation, which our chapter belongs to via the State of Vermont chapter, was looking for a way to commemorate those service people. And they came up with 2 points, which is the origination or the sort of the genesis of the current Blue Star Memorial Marker Program. They came on the idea of a living memorial, i.e. a garden, but built around a marker that was taken from the war years with those Blue Star banners. So with the brochures that I gave the mayor just before the meeting, and I'm sorry I only had 6 of them. I love all organizations today. They all want to do away with everything paper. Everything's gone to the digital platform. And I always want to tell them, look, I live in Vermont. We still do things personally here, face to face, direct. It's handy to have a handout once in a while. So I only have 6 of those for you, but you can get a sense if you shared what this very handsome highway marker looks like. So by way of story, we are here this evening to make this proposal to you. The details are in the bulletin handout that the city manager has passed around, so I won't go through every point, but I will say this, is that our coalition has put together the funding for this. The current price for the memorial, and I double-checked this morning, what with tariffs and everything, but the current price is $2,460 for the memorial plaque plus a 7-foot pole, as well as shipping. So we're going to pay for that total cost, and we would like to gift this memorial to the city. In return, our proposal includes a request that you help us with installation. These poles need to be put 3 feet into cement, and we'd like that done safely and properly. That is the essence of our proposal. I have plenty of detail if you have questions. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Yes, with pleasure, I would entertain a motion to approve, and then we'll come to your question.
Mr. Mayor, I think.
Just a quick question on it. The proposal, what we're doing here, is also going to decide where the city would like us to put this. I don't know if we have an actual place of its prominence, whether it's going to be down by the four-way intersection down there, or is it going to be up here? That's the question we'll have to make a decision upon in the community, and what the city would like as well.
And I guess my proposal would be to have the city manager, Councilor Bergeron, because you're certainly familiar with the inner workings of the city, and your group work together, and I'm sure whatever the 3 of you agree on, I'm sure will be favorable as far as the council is
That'd be
concerned.
great.
Yeah.
We
So
did make
there-
the suggestion,
Thank you.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Councilor Spalding, you had a question?
No, that was my question is, as I was reading through the handout, it talked about there's a highway marker and there's memorial markers and byway markers.
yes.
What are, the one
This
that
is
would
the
be here
highway marker.
would be a highway marker, okay.
This, our proposal includes, and Ron is right, we haven't finalized it pending your approval, but our proposal includes that the site of the installation be at Denty Park, which would be then part of, Route 14, and it would qualify for the highway marker. And coincidentally, the Granite Center Garden Club is also planning a redesign and a refurbishment of the Denty Park Gardens that we maintain. So it's good timing because we would incorporate the memorial into the redesign.
Perfect.
I think it's prevalent there, that'd be excellent, yeah.
Councilor Bergeron.
I just want to say, my years as a facility director for the city, the Granite Center Garden Club, did I say it right? They've been fantastic helping the city.
Thank you.
The islands and down there by Denty Park, the plantings always looked great, and they took very good care of them.
Renee and company were cleaning up the
I
Washington
know.
Street beds yesterday.
Renee, thank you. You do, what the Garden Club does around Barre is absolutely incredible. So thank you for working with this group, and if anyone would like to help the Garden Club out, you do accept donations.
You can also use strong
Might
backs.
as well plug everybody. I mean, listen, this is national, this is actually Public Service Recognition Week. The entire week. It's a week where we recognize not only our federal, state, and local public servants, but also people who volunteer, people like the city council who volunteer, people like you who volunteer, so many people in Barre who make Barre what it is. So if someone would wanted to, because we're getting to be that time of year now, if someone would like to donate or simply join the Garden Club, how would they do that?
So we'll reach out, Ally. Ally is the president this year for the Garden Club, the Granite Center Garden Club. Right. And maybe we could send Nick or you, Mayor, our email address.
Yeah, if you could send that, we'd love to feature you somewhere on the city webpage and just tell people about the good work that you do, and, if there are others who would like to join, how they go about doing that.
Sounds great.
So thank you so much.
That's fantastic.
And gentlemen, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Because, it's just about saying thank you.
Sure.
And honoring our veterans. Ron, you've been doing this for 50.
It's going to be 49 years this year.
Yeah, it's only 49, so you got to make it to another 50. But, the work that all of you do, just in terms of thanking, recognizing our veterans, the flags that were placed up on Main Street this week by our friends over at the Elks Club, and I know they worked with your group to do that.
Yes, they do.
We'll be placing, I believe, on the 16th of May, flags for veterans. We'll be placing flags on our cemeteries, around the city.
Yep.
We are just so fortunate to have the level of volunteers that we do who just don't forget to say thank you, and that's so important. So, any other questions, council? Yes.
Just briefly, like you, I also don't remember a time I wasn't interested in American history. And I look forward to the installation date, and I'm sure you have something like this planned already, but I would look forward to a dedication that sort of included the deep history of Barre's veteran service.
Yes, and that was just the one last follow-up I had, Mr. Mayor. I do need to follow up with the city manager because we do need a state permit for this. And then we do want to think about, even though we have a year timeline, we do want to think about a celebration. I'm hoping that we can incorporate a Memorial Day celebration with the unveiling of the plaque. Make it something big and invite dignitaries and have a nice ceremony.
That would be wonderful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, folks. Appreciate your time.
Any other questions, council? Then a motion, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor of the motion is presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, thank you very much. And
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Council, we're at item 8C on the agenda. This is to consider a letter of support for Generations Vermont project. Mr. Manager, you want to run us through this one?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to invite Erin Clark up. She's here from the organization, and she requested to be placed on the agenda and is joining us in person today. So
How are you?
Council, good. My name is Erin Clark. I am the Executive Director of Generations Vermont, which I will tell you about. I am joined by Phil Caccini, who's a board member. I, most of the time, am a home health nurse. I've been a home health nurse for 8 years in central Vermont, and 6 or 7 of those were right here in Barre. Generations Vermont is a project that aims to build an intergenerational care center located in Berlin. We had an extensive search for a site, and the site that has become available to us is next to Berlin Health and Rehab, so close to the hospital and kind of a hub for central Vermont. And what we will be providing is a child care center and an adult day center in that space. So an estimate of about 40 slots for kids and 35 for adults at any one time. So with the adults, you can serve, probably up to 75 to 100 in total. Barre used to have an adult day program, Project Independence, which closed during COVID. And this is essentially a push to bring those services back to central Vermont and provide it for all the communities. It's also a project putting the two generations together, which is strongly supported by the state and their state plan on aging. And we did, as our kind of launch funding, get a grant from the Department of Disabilities, Aging and Independent Living to do the initial development for Generations Vermont. So at this point, we have our 501c3 status, we have a business plan, we are engaged in negotiations on a piece of land, and we are working with engineers and architects on a site sketch. All of this will bring us to a point where we can kind of bring it to the community with a nice picture for people to envision what we're doing and start our capital campaign. Along with the capital campaign, we are also going for federal funding as kind of our major source. And in that, we are hoping to garner support from all of the communities that we plan to serve in central Vermont. And that is our request this evening, is that the city of Barre pen a letter of support for this project and the services that we'll be able to provide for both old and young citizens of Barre. Phil, do you have anything to add?
What I'll add is there was an extensive search in Barre. We worked with Barre Area Development Corporation to, for sites, and looked at a number of sites in Barre City to meet our needs. But this site almost seems like it was made for what we're trying to put together.
Question, yes.
How large of a site are you looking for, or did you want to get?
So our criteria that we brought around was that we wanted to have a 7,000 square foot building or to renovate something. It wasn't necessarily have to build. Okay. Needed to be on town water and sewer, needed to not be in a floodplain.
Correct.
And be, viable as far as permitting goes. What our biggest challenge is that the traditional real estate market isn't really set up for the land optioning process, which is what we need to go through in order to have something that we can get federal money for. So that was also a big hurdle.
Can I ask your background?
So I'm home health nurse, and then prior to going to nursing school, I graduated when I was 41 from nursing school.
All right.
I worked for Vermont Organic Farmers, the Biomass Energy Resource Center, and there's one other one. Oh, UVM Extension.
And my last question, do other municipalities, or I don't know if that's a correct term I want to use, do other cities or commerce areas have something, like you said, they used to have it, but it went away? I mean, I think it's awesome, but do other places have it that we can look at as of what they're doing?
So there are 11 other adult day programs in Vermont.
That's kind of what I was interested in,
Yes.
the adult.
None of them are intergenerational, so that's a new
concept?
For Vermont.
For Vermont, yes.
Yeah, it's not a new concept.
Yeah, okay. Well, especially with what's going on in today's society with dementia and all the other
Right, and
diseases, so to speak, but.
right, and so adult days do cater to those with cognitive disabilities, both adults with disabilities and then older adults with dementia or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, because unlike a senior center, they have more medical oversight. There's a nurse on staff, and it's adapted for there to be supervision the whole time.
Do the youngsters and the adults come in contact? And the reason I say this, because, I mean, during times in Florida when my grandchildren, when they're around elderly, it's like they have a new birth, they have a new way of wanting to live. I mean, it's something to do with the youth brings it out in them. It's
Right.
unreal. Yeah.
So yes,
That's wicked.
The object of this project is to have designated time for the two to come together. So they operate as an adult day and a child care center, licensed, certified, and then we have space for them to come together with intentional programming that's to, whether it's to do a costume parade or to read books
Brings out
together.
the cognitive of them, yeah.
Right.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, Councilor.
Question about, I think Project Independence did they have transportation? Would you offer transportation?
They did.
Good question.
Yes, so that is something that not all adult days offer, but I feel like it's an integral part of our puzzle of putting things together. Generally, the struggles for adult day is transportation, infrastructure, and staffing. And so I feel like we kind of addressed a lot of those, one, by having our own vans, two, by having on-site childcare, and three, by building it ourselves.
Great, thank you.
Yes, Councilor.
A couple of questions about cost. What is this going to cost per se for childcare? Like for a family to have a child go, hypothetically, are you looking to have a subsidy? Are you looking to have straight, pay childcare, a sliding fee scale kind of?
Right, so this program would qualify for the subsidy, the state subsidy. As well, the adult day will be accepting Medicaid, which pays for adult day.
Yep.
There will also be a sliding scale. Because Medicare doesn't pay for adult day, there's a whole huge section of people who couldn't necessarily afford what it costs per hour, but in every case of an adult day, there's a sliding scale.
Okay. So in the event that somebody couldn't pay, would they be eligible for a scholarship or something?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is a scholarship program, which I will be fundraising like crazy for. But I feel like that's something that people can really wrap their head around. If I am sponsoring a person to go to this day program as, something that's very meaningful.
Okay. And would you say that the funding drivers behind the program are going to be reimbursements from insurance or daycare, as well as grants from federal and state partners?
Yes. So it is a fee-based, like daycare, it's fee-based.
Yep.
For adult day, it's slightly different because Medicaid only pays when you show up.
Yep.
It's not a great payment system.
Right.
But it's a service that we absolutely need to provide. It's keeps people out of hospital, out of nursing homes, provides respite for caregivers, elderly caregivers who are looking after a spouse. My passion reaches beyond this project into the state to try to make some changes to the reimbursement policy around these kind of services.
Okay. I 1,000 support everything that you're doing. I think that we really need these kind of facilities, and to have multi-generational facilities is really next level for Vermont, kind of like you're saying. And to have them both interact is really crucial. I spent a lot of time with Head Start, and I also have a lot of experience with my own elderly folk. So I really appreciate this, what you're doing. And if there's anything that you need help with, reach out and let me know.
Okay.
Kat, did you have a question?
Just for funding, I know the state is actively looking to define how it wants to use the rural health transformation projects right now, specifically through Agency of Health, and this sounds like it would qualify for a lot of those initiatives.
That money is a sticky wicket.
It is a sticky wicket, but it's got to be used if it's beneficial at all.
Yes, and we are kind of tied to Dale in that because we used a grant from Dale. I did notice that when they presented their milestones of achievement for the state plan on aging, that we were one of them. It's like, oh, lovely.
I think it's a wonderful, I did go to your webpage. I mean, I realize you don't have a business model per se, fully baked yet, but you have a concept, and I love the concept. It was a real loss when Gifford chose to close Project Independence. For so many families, that was a huge loss. And it was a real burden for, as you said, many spouses who they want to be together, they love each other, they want to age in place. But on occasion, and I remember when my dad was still alive, my mom would say all the time, need a break from you. So doesn't mean you don't love them, just means sometimes, they need a break. And that was such an important service here in Barre, and when we lost that, that was a real tragedy. So I'm thrilled to see that you're at least conceptualizing the idea of bringing this back. I love the multi-generational approach and how you described it in your webpage. I can forgive you for not locating the first one in Barre. You're okay. You're all right. Because I'm hoping that it will catch on. 40 children, a daycare for 40 children, and a place for 40 of our seniors to be during the day. I mean, that's wonderful, but that's still 40 seniors and 40 children, and we both know that we need a lot more than that.
Right.
So when you do the second one, when the first one catches on, that's when we'll hold you to it, okay? Meanwhile, I would strongly encourage the council to approve the request for the letter of support for the Generations Vermont project. And if there's no objection, I'll have Councilor Augustine work with you to draft that letter of intent. And what? You don't want to?
No, it's good. You were anticipating my question, I think, is what happened there. I'm thrilled to do that, yes.
Well, it's my job to.
Yes.
So you're going to draft the letter,
will
and I trust
gladly.
you to sign on behalf. If you want our individual signatures, you can certainly bring it back. If not, I trust Councilor Augustine to sign on behalf of the Barre City Council. Any objection from the council?
We'll talk.
Okay, then a motion would be.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
It's moved, it's seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you again. Please keep us updated in terms of your progress. I'm interested to hear more.
Yes, and donations can be made through our website.
Do you have contact information?
We just
okay.
fixed it, yep.
Thank you again. And it's right on the, actually, if you go to their website.
I was on the website too, yeah.
Okay, so it's right there too. Okay, council, we are at item 8D on the agenda. This is a request to authorize up to $175,000 of undesignated fund balance to support the Stevens Branch project apartment. Council, you did have a write-up in your packet. Ms. Dawes is here.
Hi, all. I'm here in my capacity as your TIF administrator, and this gives us an opportunity to give you a bit of an update on where things are with the Stevens Branch apartment project and the municipal portions associated with that. The municipal portions include the undergrounding of utilities and other sort of streetscape work, and then redoing the Campbell parking lot area. So essentially, anything municipally related, infrastructure related between Seminary Street and West Street falls into what the municipality will be doing. You'll recall that back in November, the voters approved a $2.4 million TIF bond. I will share with you that we are the very first community to apply for a HILP loan, which is a housing infrastructure loan program that was funded by the legislature last year and is being administered through the bond bank. And so our $2.4 million TIF loan is being financed through the HILP program, and it's saving us about $500,000 over the life of the loan with a low interest rate. So we're very pleased about that. But we are serving as guinea pig, and the bond bank is using us to try to figure out how the heck this loan program works. So we'll be along for the ride as that's happening. I'll be coming back in 2 weeks with the documents for that loan program for your approval and signature. So you will see that coming up shortly. In the document that I provided you, I shared with you a copy of the infrastructure scope, which was shared with you before. This was part of the documentation that went to VEPSI as part of our substantial change. It shows in broad strokes what the cost estimates were, coming down to about $2.2 million. In addition to that, there's $200,000 worth of what are referred to as related costs. These are costs associated with engineering and White and Burke consulting work and the lawyers that are involved and various things like that, which brings us up to the $2.4 million that was approved by the voters. I also provided you with a budget management sheet that gives you a little more detail. You will recall that a couple weeks ago you approved issuing a contract to Allstates, who's the contractor who is performing the municipal portions of the project. And so we've got more detailed information about what the actual expenses are. You can see that their full contract is the just under 1.2 million, and then other expenses are laid out and do correspond back to the presentation that was made to VEPSI. We do have some. One thing that I did note in my memo is the proposed project, the contract with Allstates is more than we had hoped. And so there is the potential for there being a budget gap between the $2.4 million and what the ultimate expenses will be. We're working very closely with the contractors, with our various and sundry consultants to potentially do some force work, having our people do some work, doing some value engineering, looking for things that could possibly be phased, looking for ways to mitigate any potential overages. Right at the moment, we're right at the $2.4 million number, but we wanted to see if council was interested in giving us some authority for overages, if there are any overages, to come out of the fund balance. We thought that it would make it easier if we had that preliminary authorization from you so that we didn't have to come back on an every meeting basis or even call emergency meetings. At the moment, the biggest unknown item that we have is associated with contaminated soils. We've had testing along the sites, and there was contamination identified in some of the areas that will require being shipped to the Coventry locations that will accept contaminated soils. That was not anticipated, and so it wasn't included in the all states bid. We're working up what those new numbers are going to look like, but it will be an increase, obviously, to costs. So that may end up being something that pushes us over the 2.4 million. So we want to be giving you updates on a regular basis, and we wanted to ask for authorization to be able to tap into the fund balance, the undesignated fund balance as needed. We obviously will keep you informed all along the way. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes.
My first question is, how much money is in the undesignated fund balance?
It was 476, I think it was the last number we had from the budget presentation. I can look it up. Yeah.
Is that,
It's adequate.
but does that include the money that you talked about applying to the budget?
No,
With that?
no.
No,
That's
okay.
exclusive
Net
of
of
two.
that.
None of that, yeah.
Okay.
I can look it up.
So, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, just one more question. The different, in the, I apologize, 'cause I don't look at these kinds of documents very often, but in the infrastructure scope document, at the very bottom, it talks about an estimate contingency and a construction contingency. Can you tell me what the difference is and why we have to add both?
Construction contingency is pretty much normal practice in any kind of a construction project, and it's meant to give you a little wiggle room for those things that might need to come up through change orders through the process. If it's determined that, you need to go a little deeper with something, or you need to go a little longer, or something you thought was going to be fine, once you get below surface, it turns out that you need to do some additional, you've got some additional expenses. The estimate contingency has to do with the fact that these numbers are a year old.
Okay.
From when we drafted them to go to VEPSI, and it was almost a year between then and when All States created their bid.
Okay.
So it's, gave us a little flex considering the increases in expenses, tariffs, who knows what. So,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council?
I've got one, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, of course.
I know that we've talked through the years about potentially getting some brownfield mitigation grants for other sites in the city that we were potentially looking at taking control over. Is that anything that we've looked at with this project?
this project doesn't rise to that level.
Okay.
We actually had a pre-construction meeting last week, and we're going to do as much sort of on-site mitigation as we can. The contamination, it actually, if I recall correctly, Nicholas, they didn't refer to it as contaminated. They referred to it as something with a slightly lesser degree.
Yes.
But you know, and I don't know enough about you know, these kinds of things to give you the actual jargon, but there are two different distinct layers of soil that needs mitigation. One layer of it can actually go to, All States has its own site. And so that particular soil can go to their site. The second layer, which is a little more contaminated, needs to go to a state-sanctioned site, which is like Coventry. And so that's what makes the difference is that. But there are ways that they can mitigate some of it by, they can actually rebury it in some of the trenches. They can potentially mix some of it with some of the topsoil. They're familiar with, All States is familiar with what is allowed, and they're going to do what they can to mitigate how much actually goes off-site. But we're in the process right now of calculating based on what we know now, before we open up the ground, based on what we know now, how much we anticipate could potentially have to go to Coventry and what that cost might be.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow up on Councilor Spaulding's question, so the fund balance numbers, the estimated cumulative fund balance is approximately 2.1 million. And that, as we talked about during the budget, that's basically a reflection of getting all our FEMA reimbursements back, and vacancy savings that we've had. So that's the estimated cumulative fund balance that will be known at the end of the audit, for sure. The amount we can retain as undesignated fund balance per the charter change that is currently pending but is likely to be approved very shortly is 10% of the general fund, which means we can retain, of that 2.1, we can retain without designating 1.4 million. That leaves a balance of 676,000, of which we had talked to the council during the budget process of using 255,000 to buy down the tax rate. And we were proposing at that time to allocate 421,000 of that balance to the capital improvement fund. What we can do is we would sort of eat into that and allocate less to the capital improvement fund if needed. That's also something that we're going to have discussions on. I think when we were discussing this during the budget cycle, we talked about having specific council agenda items to talk about fund balance and allocation of the undesignated. So that's all forthcoming. But in short, there's plenty of resources to do that, and we could have tapped into the reserves that can also be allocated with the council's approval.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
So, sorry, any other? Yes.
Not a question, just, I'm not against the project at all or anything, but if we got another $175,000, I'd rather put it towards paving.
Well, I guess, and you know I trust you. I probably trust you more than anyone in this building because we have such a long history together. But I heard you say, you talked about, I mean, right now there's a lot of unknowns. You don't have, and you said, well, we don't want to be bothering you, next week. We sure don't want to make you hold a special meeting. Well, that's why we're here. So, and I want to be really careful about how I say this because number one, I expect some value engineering. If we have a $2.4 million budget with a $500,000 contingency, we should be able to hit it with some value engineering. Some of these things, for example, are landscaping and resurfacing the Campbell Street lot. And I'm struggling with the $175,000, mostly because we don't even know yet. And I'm thinking, well, that's our job. If we have to have a special meeting to support this project, I don't think the council would get upset. So we can do that. I would prefer to do that rather than say to the world, including those who are going to bid, you've got a $175,000 cushion. Because every time I do that with a contractor, guess what happens? I burn up my 100. And most importantly, I mean, to Councilor Bergeron's point, we have a lot of competing needs, not the least of which is our North End neighbors who could sure use $175,000 for something. So for that reason, Council, personally, I think it would be most appropriate to just table this for now. And again, if anyone disagrees with anything I'm saying, I'd like to see some value engineering. I'd like to help. We have a lot of competing needs in the city, paving our neighbors in the North End. I'd rather do some value engineering and lose a little bit of landscaping and be able to help these other projects and still, of course, complete the project. We're all supportive of the project, but I'd rather sort of approach it that way than just give you the $175,000 approval. Does anyone have an objection to that?
Yeah. Not an objection, just a
Sure.
further question for Carol. What is our timing on knowing more about these estimates?
All states is working on doing the research with regards to the, trying to come up with an estimate before we open up the ground, but trying to come up with an estimate as to how much would need to go to Coventry. They need to coordinate with the state on that, because you have to have a permit to transport to Coventry. So they're working on that. They're due to start staging on the property the end of this month, and start work right around the 1st of June. They're going to be done by the middle of August. I mean, it's a real thing. And we have identified on the chart that I sent you, we've identified 4 categories of things that we feel that there are opportunities, and we reviewed this with them, opportunities for value engineering or possibly work being done in-house, or other things, and that is landscaping, resurfacing West Street. We could, rather than include it in this contract, we could include it in our regular paving schedule. There is the bollards, which are part of the project around some of the undergrounding work that has to be done. There's signs and meters and striping, and some of that we can do in-house and provide. So we have identified things that we're working on. That's about $130,000. So we are working towards not having to come up with anything, because we don't want to either. We feel like 2.4 million is an adequate amount to get the work done, but we do want to make sure that we don't find ourselves in a position where things come to a halt because we're in a position where we're trying to figure out how to pay the bills.
Right.
So,
Council, can we keep up?
Yep.
Anybody have any concerns about us being able to keep up? We can keep up. I promise.
Amy's got a question.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Amy Galford?
Hi, sorry I had to go home. This isn't specific to this project, but maybe it relates a little bit to the questions about other priorities in the city. For all the housing projects where we're chipping in city money to help make the projects happen, I don't know if it's allowed with the different funding sources and the affordable housing rules, but I think it would be great if we could find some way for people who were impacted by the floods to somehow get priority. I imagine there's going to be huge demand for housing when it becomes available. And I don't know what the selection process for housing is going to be, but it kind of feels like if people who may or may not still be living in the city, may be still paying property taxes, if we can prioritize people who were impacted for somehow getting access to these new complexes, I think that would be nice. But I don't know if that's possible or not. And then just like a clarifying question, maybe I didn't understand the contingency thing. Different financing sources work different ways. But for the contingency to be in the budget, but Carol said, that would get approved by change orders. So does that mean there's later a step where that's approved later? So is that approved as part of the contract, or does it get added to the contract later?
it would, change orders would be added to the contract. This is, the contingencies are part of an exhibit that was part of our substantial change request to VEPSI a year ago, because we had to start the process back then. So the numbers are, I'm sorry, I should be looking at the camera, but you're over my shoulder. So a year ago, we started with these numbers, and we felt it was important to include the contingencies just to make sure that we were, covering all our bases, because we know what prices have done in the last year. We know what, so we just wanted to make sure that we were covered. We're not anticipating any construction change orders, but you never know. As far as the estimate contingency change order, that likely has been absorbed in the process. So.
Any other questions, council? So a motion to table, if council's so inclined, or you can come back. We don't have to do the formal motion to
Yeah, I would
table?
recommend not,
Yeah.
because if you formally table it, then you got to formally take it off the table, then you got to.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a lot to digest.
Well,
It's not personal.
I'm not going to give up.
we're not denying. We're giving you kind of some marching orders, and we're also pledging that we'll keep up with any requests that you need, because the urban soils will be interesting. I mean, there's more than one method of treating them, as you know. Sometimes you haul them to Coventry, sometimes you literally put them right back on site, depending on, again, they're just, if it's dirty dirt, typical urban soils, they'll just say, don't bring them anywhere. Just, when you dig the hole, fill it back in with that same dirt. It was there. You're putting a parking lot over it. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's been there. So, hopefully those bids come back favorably. I know those can swing wildly. Yes, Councilor Guston.
This will just, your brief discussion of that and Carol's presentation earlier, I had already made a note for myself to find a couple of articles to better understand contaminated soils and dirty soils and the technical distinctions. But it occurs to me that there are probably folks listening in and probably folks who have read about brownfield remediation in Barre City in the past and are going to read about it with projects we're doing forward.
Mm-hmm.
So a presentation at council, like an informative presentation at council might be great going forward.
That would be a very long presentation. It's not an uncomplicated subject. It really has to do with
the 50,000 foot.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could try. The
one thing that I will say is that we're not disturbing a lot of soil. We have to do some trenching to underground the utilities, but we're talking, a trench.
Yeah.
Yes, it goes fairly deep, but we, as the mayor said, we can backfill it with the soil. So we'll be able to reuse a fair amount of the soil that way. And then throughout the parking lot, the Campbell parking lot that we're resurfacing, we're going to be doing some, we have to obviously strip the pavement. We're doing some soil disturbance by installing new guardrails. We're doing some plantings, stuff like that, but it's pretty much just a surface as far as disturbing soil and stuff like that. So we're not doing a lot. It's not like when North Main Street was redone and we went down 8 feet. It's a different kind of disturbing of the soils. And when VHB came in and tested a couple weeks ago, they dug 4-foot test pits all the way around, but we're not going that deep all the way around, so.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you.
Sure.
Just let us know when you need us. We will keep up. You heard it here. Okay, Council, we're at item 8E on the agenda. This is the flood resiliency plan. Councilor Guston.
Thank you. Manager is bringing up our presentation this evening. First of all, thank you, Council, for approving the contract with Hamline University for the Adopt a Drain program earlier in this meeting, and thank you for the November tentative approval of the $15,000 so that we could pursue that contract, because we are finally ready to put some drainage up for adoption. This, to review, is the part of the flood resiliency plan that deals with the stormwater system, repair, upsizing, and maintenance. We've already had some presentations this year on some of the studies of our stormwater system that SLR Consulting has been doing. We received a $250,000 grant to further scope stormwater system improvements through the CDBG-DR project, or funding, excuse me. And those are really big ones. This is a citizen-led, sort of more on the ground, smaller way of addressing concerns with our stormwater system. If you could go to the next slide, thank you. Okay, so at our October 28, 2025 meeting, Council approved funding for 3 years of the Adopt a Drain program. And I'll remind you in a second on the next slide, but conversations with Hamline University continued throughout the winter and the spring, and to a certain extent, we were waiting for us to be able to see all the storm drains again with the snow, which we're pretty sure is gone now, and we're ready for a launch date. So as a reminder, the Adopt a Drain program run by Hamline University, which is in Minnesota. This is a program that is adopted in other municipalities in Vermont. Specifically, it is throughout Chittenden County. And this program lets residents sign up to clean and track the work that they do on storm drains in their neighborhood. Our contract includes 3 years of this program and 50 kits to the first 50 people who sign up to adopt drains that will provide them with all of the tools, sort of all the bells and whistles tools that they might want. It not only provides a way for us to get an ongoing close look at all of our storm drains across the city, it also provides us data back about what people are pulling out of the storm drains, because it encourages people to not just clean out the drain, but also report, I took a whole bunch of trash out, or I took a whole bunch of leaves out. And that's going to start to build us a picture both of what goes into our storm drains in different parts of the city, and also sort of what is coming out of the storm drains. And the hope is that it also better targets the work by our city's public works staff, so that we know which drains have been cleared out after a storm event or a rain event, and which ones may need more focus. It's also going to put eyes on our storm drains on a more regular basis. We all know that there are storm drains that sort of need to be addressed. They've collapsed, or they're just not doing the work they need to. So this allows us to get close, everyday eyes on those storm drains in a way that our public works staff, however wonderful, just don't have the time to do. So that is a recap of the program itself. So I reached out to Councilor Hillgardner and the Neighborly Barre Committee and sat in a meeting with them, and we agreed to a launch date of May 30th. The first step to getting this program going forward is to map every single storm drain in Barre City with GPS coordinates. Volunteers will walk the streets of Barre City, map each storm drain. Councilor Hillgardner and Tracy Lewis, who is the chair of that committee, and I met this afternoon and tested it out, and they both reported that it was as simple as I was hoping. So that was great news.
Dead simple.
Yep.
How many do you think there are?
Oh, I don't know. We should play some bets on that one before.
130 in that area? More.
Oh,
More than that.
across the
God,
city.
yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I used to have
I mean, imagine we're 30, mid-30s, 35 or so miles of streets, and then imagine, on a short quarter-mile street like Nelson, we have 6 on that short little street, and some streets have more. So, I mean, you do the math, 6 times 24 times 35, it's a big number.
We'll put the over-under well over 1,000, I would think.
Yeah, don't say. Don't say.
Okay.
Because we're gonna
find out. We're gonna find out.
It's gonna be $1, and you gotta throw the number in the.
Okay. Maybe that will be part of our fun for that day.
There you go.
So they did both report that the instructions were helpful. I made some notes on that, and that it was as easy. In fact, I thought we were only going to do like one together, and they were just off down the street. They did 5 more. So we're good. It is as simple as hoped. So on May 30th, we'll be meeting, and I'll talk about that lunch and event in a moment. We'll be meeting to send people off to do this work of mapping all of the storm drains. Later that week or the following week, we have a very generous offer from CVCC students who are going to finish that work. Anything that is not done on that Saturday, they're going to send their students out on a beautiful day and have them finish it up. We will have a target of mid-June to formally open the process of adopting the drains that we have since mapped. You get to name your drain, so get your ideas ready. We'll test out sort of the early adoption system, and then the full rollout and recruitment will happen at Heritage Days. I'm hoping to work with the Barre Rivers Collective folks on that, as well as the Barre Partnership, to get as many drains adopted in neighborhoods as possible. Any questions on those steps before I talk about the event itself? Yes?
No, maybe you're going to get to it. I'll just let you go ahead.
Okay, so mapping launch date. Tracy Lewis sent over some social media graphics and a flyer just this afternoon. They look terrific. They're going to hit tomorrow on social media. So we will be at the Aldrich Public Library Saturday, May 30th at 11 o'clock a.m. This is an open invitation to any counselors and anyone listening in to come that day. You should come ready to walk streets and come with a smartphone. Unfortunately, that part is non-negotiable. It does require access to Google Maps in order to place your little person right on the storm drain and then enter the storm drain into the system. It is, I promise you, very simple. We will train people how to use it before we send you out. We'll have some snacks to send you out with. The plan is to give everyone sort of a map of the city with the streets that they're meant to do highlighted, so we know exactly which ones were covered. We'll get through as many as we can that day. Anything left over, the CVCC students will tackle. And we will know pretty quickly. I would just say that the way that we're going to do this, you'll be entering your name temporarily as the storm drain name, so we'll have a quick way to track how many drains each person mapped that day, no pressure. So.
I think there has to be a prize for
Something. 1,200 to 1,500, so we'll place our marks within that range. So any questions about the implementation or this program?
So we're going to try to do this in one day.
Well, we have a leftover contingency, but we're
Okay.
going to try to get a big push done on that day, and then the CVC students will.
Listen, I agree with, the push date, but, I'm just, okay, what if it's pouring on Saturday?
We have a rain date that we are superstitiously holding for now.
Okay.
And any streets that are not done that day will turn over to the students who they've said they can possibly muster as many as 200 kids. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That would be
I'm
awesome.
reasonably confident of getting them done within that 2-week period.
And then we'd provide them with a city map and say, here are the streets that we couldn't get to. Or behind door number 2, we could say, for example, if Counselor Spalding did Delmont, we could say, well, could you do this part of Tremont? And have people extend their routes. Okay.
Yep. And we were testing, it is going to go about as fast as you can walk. It actually does take less than a minute or two to do a drain. So that's one of the things we calibrated this afternoon. So
No, it
that's
shouldn't take long. I
sort of
mean, if you,
inform how many trips.
again, if you figure there are, like I said, it might be closer to 40, but, it's not like we have a ton of miles in the city. So if you imagine going for a mile-long walk,
Yeah.
you'd only need 40, 50 people, and you'd do the whole city. Assuming, you did, obviously not, most of our streets are not a mile in length. They're much smaller than that, but.
I got one for Amanda.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right, so there's actually storm drains in Hope Cemetery, too.
This is the kind of information I need.
This is good to know.
That's awesome.
There are some in Elmwood, aren't there?
I think there
Not a
are.
lot. There's a couple in Elmwood.
If in Elmwood, I think it'd only be up to the road edge.
Going up the road.
Yeah.
All right. That's phenomenal. Thank you for adding that, because that's really, really useful to add.
Parks, are there some in parks?
We had noted that there were.
Not usually
Probably
in the
up
parks.
by a pool.
The pool probably has some, yeah. I don't think the other parks probably do.
Probably not.
I don't think so, yeah.
We'll make sure that we note the people who get streets adjacent to the parks to ask them to just walk around the parks. And the same for large city parking lots.
Yeah.
You know what, that would be a good trivia question for Brian, TJ, and their staff. No, and just ask them, are there other places in the city other than Hope Cemetery and our city streets where there might be storm drains that we should map?
There are definitely storm drains in the parking lots up at the Civic
Oh,
Center.
yeah. They're definitely up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And any other questions? Cool. All right.
I just want to say thank you for running this. Hannah was really excited.
I'm glad.
Oh my gosh, this is cool. She really loved that.
Yeah,
Thank you for doing that.
this idea has been brewing for like 2.5 years now.
So much needed.
So, yeah, it's going to give us like a ton of data on the city side that we maybe aren't even going to need, but it will be fun to play with. So.
Well, and as we move forward with mapping our infrastructure system, our storm system, this will be very valuable in terms of locating areas where, quite frankly, we may have forgotten to map the infrastructure, so.
Might be. Yeah,
Awesome.
there's a storm drain there, but wait a minute.
Yeah, there you go.
What's underneath it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other questions, council? Very good. We'll be looking forward to that. So, council, we'll move on to item 8F. Actually, that was not on the agenda. It was on our amended agenda. This is to just have a little conversation, manager and I, about streets and paving. You want to start with what do we start? Recent V-Trans? Sure. We start with that one. So, first of all, we hear a lot about city streets. We all do. We're struggling with that program. I mean, there's no denying it. What are we going to say? We're doing great? No, we're not. I mean, we're doing well. We're starting to keep up now, but we are certainly struggling. And one of the reasons that we're struggling is underfunding. The manager and I, this is something that we work on weekly. I mean, we have meetings at high levels. We have meetings with Secretary Flynn. So I just wanted to review, not only for the council, but also for folks who might be watching, and you know, that this is not something that the manager and I forget about, that we don't work on. This is probably the subject that I spend the most time on in terms of lobbying, conversations, trying to come up with ideas, and we've had some success lately. As I said, most of the time our communications occur at the highest levels with the secretary, and they involve discussions around ways the city of Barre and V-Trans can partner, because, you know, we can throw it at their feet and say, well, it's their fault, Route 14. It's, you know, I testified recently in a joint session of the House and Senate Transportation Committee. You know, this is a Vermont issue. This is everyone's issue. In the legislature, you know, we've all participated as we've underfunded Vermont's transportation system, and now we're seeing the effects. And the same thing in some respects has happened here in Barre. But there are some bright spots. You know, responding to one of our requests, the manager would lobby him, I would lobby him, we tag team him. We were informed recently, and that was on the 24th of April, that the highway paving in Barre was moved up from the 2030 paving season to 2028. That was very good news. And like I said, I value the partnership we have with V-Trans and our relationship with Joe Flynn. But what I said to Secretary Flynn when he told me, hey, you've moved up to 2028, I said, Mr. Secretary, that is wonderful news. We appreciate you. We appreciate your partnership. But say it with me, Joe. 27. Say it with me, Joe. 27. So I've let the Secretary know that, again, we all appreciate the partnership and the fact that they moved it up, but I am not going to stop lobbying. The date that I would like to see is 2027. Yeah, that's just the way it is. So secondly, responding to a request from the city, and this really excites me because we were presented with a plan to partner with V-Trans in order to pave some sections of routes 302 and 14. Now, I realize that in some respects, maintenance is a city issue, is a municipal issue. Repaving is a state issue. I understand that, but if you read the statute, I'd ask you to read section C of the statute, which says notwithstanding. So read that section. It's not as easy as just hanging your hat on it and saying, look, state, this is your problem. What's really exciting about this, so Nicholas is still trying to decide it. I think you're thinking both, right? Yeah. So this partnership not only allows the city to complete the projects at a cost that is lower than our current third-party contract, because V-Trans is partnering with us, so they're sharing in, you know, some of the costs that we're paying for. We get that at cost. We don't, you know, there's no contractor's markup. So it allows us to complete more paving projects because our current third-party contractor, he only has so much capacity. So now we've got another contractor / partner in V-Trans, we can do more paving. So we're pretty excited about that. And then responding to a request from the city, sounds like we ask a lot for stuff, Nicholas. Responding to a request from the city, and this was just, you know, Joe, how can V-Trans help? How can V-Trans help make us more efficient? Because the more efficient we are, the more efficient it is for all of us. And so they offered us the use of some equipment. Obviously, it's subject to availability, but they have equipment that will enable our crews, equipment that, quite frankly, we don't necessarily need. We'd like, but we don't need and we can't afford. So they'll let us use that equipment, and that will enable our crews to complete more street maintenance more efficiently. Obviously, more efficiency equals more maintenance. So we'll get more done. So, you know, these are just a few of the things that Nicholas and I have been doing in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep doing it. I don't know if anybody has any questions about this before I move on and get into the paving stuff. Yes.
For the second bullet, that they were going to partner with V-Trans, is that separate from the 2028 request that they're going to pave the highway paving? They're going to start with
Yes,
this year?
that's some areas where like the bridge by Cumberland Farms. There's a section, you can't patch it. It's just too far. So it really needs to be skim coated to get us through to 28. So those are some really bad areas of routes 302 and 14 where pothole patching just isn't going to cut it. Yes.
Yeah, this is basically an overlay as opposed to a full repave and rebuild. So this would take care of those really the worst spots and do it in a way that, as the mayor mentioned, that's not a patch that we would put in. So it's I would think of this as overlay, and the 2028 would be the full rebuild.
But so this is happening this year?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is going to happen this year because, again, it's just not. And when we do struggle with this, but one thing that I've learned is VTrans is a really valuable partner. And, we can get upset and stomp our feet and demand that they do certain things. And that's not going to move the needle. And it doesn't really help anyone. It doesn't help VTrans. It doesn't help their morale. It doesn't help our morale. And most importantly, it doesn't help our citizens who are blowing out tires on our streets. So, so we are making progress with some of the requests that we've put in. And like I said, it's our goal here to just be an honest, pain in the rear end working partner. We don't stop. So next thing was that I think that was a JPEG file with the one on it.
Let me see if I should even.
So I just want to talk a little bit about kind of our paving budget, where we are. Yeah, that one. Kind of where we are, where we've been, because like I testified to Senate and House Transportation, I started out by saying it could be worse.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not great, but it could be worse. And I believe in trying to keep a positive attitude. So this is if you want to look at our paving program graphically, this is a pretty good graphic that'll show you sort of where we were, where we've been, and where we're going. So if you go all the way to the left to 2017, in 2017, we were doing a tick over about $650,000 in paving annually. And we kind of, for those who can remember back to 2017, we kind of had it going on. I mean, we were keeping up with the paving. We had, a few years before that, done a $1.5 million paving bond and paved a lot of streets. And so back in 2017, at $650,000, we were keeping up. We were doing okay. And then in 2018, and I was part of this decision-making process, I'll be very candid with you, it was a poor decision. What happened was the tax rate was spiking, and manager, and at the time, we bought into the premise that, we'll make it up in later years. We'll raise it back up. So we're just going to do it for this year, and we're going to cut our paving spending, but holy cow, we've done so much, and we had. Prior to 2017, we had done so much. It's like, we're going to take a little break, cut it for a year, and then so 2018 was just about the time that I left office after my first tour of service. But what happened was, if you look at the red line, the green line is where we were historically, using 2017 as a base year. What would have happened if we had just gone up 6% a year? Just maintained that level of funding. Nothing crazy, not going up 10 or 20 or 33%, just 6% to keep up with the cost of paving. That's the green line. The red line is what we actually did. And as you can see, that funding gap just got bigger and bigger. And what happens when your funding gap gets bigger? Well, in one year you have 50 potholes. In the next year you have 100 potholes. Then you got 150. Once you get behind, it's hard to get back on top of it. But that's not what this council did back, and when I say 25, I'm talking about fiscal year end 25, our budget for fiscal year ending 25. So you see the first blue line there, you can see that funding gap's getting bigger, bigger, bigger. It had gotten really large by 2024. And then for the fiscal year ended 2025, this council, many members of you were here at the time, we started a double-digit increase, and we actually made some progress. And then in the next year, we actually did a 33% increase. We went from 450 to 600. Now in this year, where you see that last blue line, we're actually going up another 33% from 600 to 800. So instead of going up 150, we're proposing to go up 200. And so what I did is I simply extended that for another 3 years, and I said, okay, we need to get back to that green line. What happens if we continue 200,000 a year for the year after this year, the year after that year, and the year after that year? 3 more years, folks. So when folks say, Barre City Council, Barre City, you don't have a plan. Well, we do have a plan. Here it is graphically, and if you want to throw up the other slide, Nicholas, I can show you the math, show you the numbers behind it. It was we didn't really codify our plan, but we made the commitment going back 3 years to go up that double-digit amount, and then go up by 33%, and then go up by another 33%. So what I'm proposing to this council and throwing at this council is, we're right there and seeing 27. I realize it's 26. We're doing the 27 budget and voting on that on Tuesday. So the 27 is really where we are. We'll be at 800,000, assuming voter approval. And then we'll be at $1 million, $1.2 million, and then $1.4 million. And you can see at $1.4 million, if you skip over the percentage column and go to the required funding, which is simply our 2017 level at a 6% annual increase, you can see for the first time in over a decade, we actually passed that amount. We erased that funding gap, and we're on the other side of it. And I think, everyone that I've spoken to with a city our size, the miles of streets that we have, understanding that we're doing a little catch up here, but this will be an adequate number if future councils don't cut that 1.3 million and they increase that number by 5 or 10%. You don't have to increase it the 33 and the 33 like we did a few years ago, or even the 25 next year or the 20 the year after that. But if we just can continue along this direction, 3 more years, folks, and you can see we've got 3 behind us. We're halfway there, and we'll be fine. So, yes.
This really it's helpful, it's enlightening. It really brings a lot of maybe more good feelings, I'll say, about paving than bad feelings, because we constantly see the things that are going on. And I think what people really want to see is like what street's going to be done in 2029 and those kinds of things. And we can't say what needs to be done because we don't have a crystal ball. But in order to put this funding plan in play, that's kind of like our crystal ball to say, look, we see what's going on. We want to help you, but we need the funding in order to do that.
Right.
And I love the plan. I love the way that it's presented, and I think it's solid. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And but it's not all great news.
Right.
It's going to require, because immediately people will say, well, you're going to put it on the backs of the taxpayers. Not necessarily. I think it's important for this council, for future councils. We made that commitment this year. We tried to keep the tax rate reasonable for those the increase reasonable for those on a fixed income. So, maintaining this level of commitment to the paving program may require some tough decisions in each of those 3 years. Like I said to the Joint Transportation Committees, we have to recognize in Vermont that, there are things that we value, but you got to govern for everyone. And I said, we've got to recognize that not everyone uses Vermont's parks. Not everybody hunts, not everybody fishes. There are certain things that not everyone uses, whether it's in a city or a state, but everybody uses the roads, or virtually everybody. I'd be hard pressed to come up with someone who doesn't use the roads at all on any level. So obviously you have to prioritize that core function of government first. And, I think that's the way we all feel about this. I think we're willing to make those tough decisions, but what I'd love to hear from the council is, are we committed to a plan that looks like this, so that we can finally are we going to commit ourselves to, because I certainly will, and I will commit and prioritize to $200,000 annually so that we can put this problem, which is quantifiable. This is one of the hardest problems to fund, easiest problems to fix. It's math. You do the math and you say, this is where we need to be. Yes.
I appreciate the plan. My one question and concern is the 200,000 going to go as far in 3 years? Like, does it really need to be 200, or is it going to have to be like 300, 400 because we're facing rising costs? You know?
Well, that's why I had the green line. The green line shows the 17 level going up 6% a year. So there are certainly, like, you know, you can't predict things like, okay, is someone going to attack Iran?
Right.
And you know, is this necessarily, even though we have some paving to do this year, and we know that in some respects, I wish we didn't, because we all know the price of hot mix will likely go up. It's petroleum based. Very few things aren't. I mean, the price of plumbing, PEX, is petroleum based. So there are a lot of things that are going to go up. But I think the answer to your question, Counselor, is yes. That because I followed that 17 funding level and I went up 6%. Some years inflation was 3, you know, some years it was 7. So once those lines intersect, I mean, look at it this way: 6 year, or if you get to the end of the plan in 2030, you'll be able to look back and say, we're spending $1.4 million on paving. Holy cow! 6 years ago we were spending 600. So I think that is certainly an adequate number, much more adequate than we're doing now. Yes.
I think the projections look extremely promising. We had touched on this question briefly when we had Brian Baker with us, and I would just say, based on his answer to sort of looking at our paving budget of this year, that this is going to also require a parallel commitment from council to continue to fund the Department of Public Works.
Yes.
And to continue to make sure that those positions are filled and that we have the city staff to do that prep work that we know is crucial to keeping costs down and making efficient use of those dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's something we're going to have to keep in mind at the same time.
Yeah, we have 3 vacant positions in DPW. I don't think there was ever a serious conversation at the council level or from the manager about cutting any of those, saying, you know,
Right.
Hey, we can't fill them, so let's cut them. I mean, I think we all recognize that when it comes to DPW currently, we need more, not less. I wish we had more, because what that forces us to do is, if we don't have enough men to do the work, and they work hard, and if we don't have enough people in DPW to do the work, we have to sub it. And when we look at the hourly rate for a subcontract, for a contractor, it is significantly more than we can do it in-house, much cheaper to do it in-house. So I think, you know, we're all committed to that as well. So that's what it's going to take, council. If we're committed and we just sort of stick with what we're doing, we will get on the other side of this. I mean, when people talk to me about the roads, which is often, I'm sorry, I find myself apologizing a lot, because we are behind. I'm not going to throw DPW under the bus. Those guys work so hard. You know, mayors who sat here prior to me, councilors who sat here prior to you, it was underfunded. And in some respects, we did too. So, but this is what we're doing about it. This is how we're fixing it. So I'll get you copies of the slides, and you know, hopefully with the help of V-Trans and some of the work we're doing this summer, we'll enjoy some smoother streets soon. Upcoming business, council. Anybody have anything that they would love to see on the council's agenda? Yes.
I had asked last meeting about the Cornell presentation.
Oh, yes.
They just,
Their notes.
yeah, can you, would you be able to send those out?
Yes,
Yeah.
the ones that they shared while they were here.
Yes, because
sorry,
I
I forgot
didn't
to
make
do
it
that,
to the thing at
Yep.
Barre Social Club, and so I didn't get to see all of it. I only got to talk to 2 of the groups, and I would love to read the other information.
I forgot to do that. I will send that out.
Thank you so much.
And I know their final work isn't done yet, but that'll be forthcoming as
Okay,
well.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, anything else under upcoming business? Then roundtable, why don't we start with Mr. Ruth here?
I'll pass, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Spaulding?
I got to participate in Green Up Day with the Rivers Collective, with Councilor Hill Gardner. And we had a lot of fun. There was only one tick found, I think, after the event. 3 ticks. You win the prize.
That's still impressive.
But
me.
I went down to the Jockey Hollow, the falls behind Rotary Park. I'd never been there before in my whole life. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And we did a lot of cleanup and it looks great, so, yeah.
Councilor Bridger?
143 North Main. Do we own it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd like to maybe put together some volunteers, a group of volunteers, and we can wash the outside of the building. Maybe if we can get in, clean the inside of the windows. It's starting to look a little grimy down there.
Yeah, if you talk to Pete Coleman, I'm sure Pete would let you grab some water
Yeah.
from his place, because that's probably the most convenient place. Yeah. Grab it
Basement's
from
full of
Pete.
water. Basement's full of water.
We can just pump it up.
We'll just leave that water right there. Thank you very much.
Trying to think creatively here.
That's not creative, no. That's just gross.
So I can coordinate. And
Yeah, let me know.
Nicholas.
We can
No,
let you
great
know.
idea.
We can do that when we're looking for a place to put the sign.
There you go.
Yeah. Councilor Guston?
I have been making an effort in the last couple of weeks to go to more concerts, and so I was here at the Opera House for the Vermont Philharmonic on Sunday, and that was wonderful. And then I'm going to the Singers Room at the Barre Social Club on Thursday night. And I am just grateful that we have tremendous opportunities for any kind of music you could possibly want. I'm looking forward to the Courier Park concerts this summer. And so when I thought I want to go to more live music, I did not even have to go very far. So I'm grateful for that.
Fantastic. Councilor Hill Gardner?
Well, it's not in, I think maybe the next concert series will be up here, but the group that I play with that does Baroque music did a series of concerts in Lebanon, New Hampshire, and Walpole, New Hampshire this time, and we raised quite a lot of money for the Community Asylum Seekers Project.
Councilor?
Just remind everyone to go out and vote. If you cannot go out and vote next Tuesday in the polls, make sure you stop down to the city clerk's office. You can vote in person. You can register same day. You can change your registration. You can pretty much do what you need to do to go out and vote. So please exercise your right to vote in our municipal election next Tuesday.
Thank you very much. Ditto on the voting. There'll be a little bit of change, but you're going to have a ton of signage out there. You're going to have volunteers. I mean, people will find it. I mean, go to the auditorium. You'll find it. So, council, this week is Public Service Recognition Week, as I said earlier, for those who serve at the federal, state, and local levels. So I just want to say sincerely to the manager, to our first responders, to our city employees, to our city councilors, and to all of our city volunteers, thank you. Because it's everyone here. We can be a little strange sometimes, but everyone here makes this city work and makes it, one of the best places to live, I think, in the world. So thank you. So that's the lighthearted thing and the thank you thing. Now we'll move on to public safety. I just wanted to make council aware, I think you've all seen this, that the police executed a search warrant at 455 North Main Street in Barre, that is also known as the High Rise. And the reason that I'm addressing this now is because sometimes people tend to react unfairly on Facebook and social media. I know that's shocking. Most of you have probably never noticed that before, but they did. As far as one of the perpetrators, his name was Marlon Foster, 21, of Hartford, Connecticut. I'll gladly mention his name. And he pleaded not guilty by video on Monday in Washington County Criminal Court. He was charged with felony counts of fentanyl trafficking, conspiracy to traffic fentanyl, conspiracy to sell cocaine, and cocaine possession. He faces a maximum sentence of 75 years in jail. Thank you to the courts who ordered him held on $100,000 bail, which he promptly posted. So he is free on conditions. The tenant I won't mention that name. The tenant and holder of the apartment pled not guilty to felony counts of conspiracy to traffic fentanyl, conspiracy to sell cocaine, as well as misdemeanor counts of selling a regulated drug out of a dwelling, cocaine possession, and possession of lysergic acid dimelitide, or LSD. He was released on conditions. So I just want to let all of you know, because immediately there were folks jumping on the Barre Housing Authority. So immediately I reached out to Jamie Cioli. I copied the manager and the chief on my email. But what I was offering Jamie is whatever assistance I could to improve tenant safety, whatever I could offer, whatever the city could offer to improve tenant safety. Jamie appreciated my note, and she took the opportunity to update me on a few issues, including the recent eviction of a tenant at Green Acres. That was the result of an event back in October. I think, Councilor Deering, you are very familiar with that incident. That person was allegedly harboring and assisting an out-of-state visitor with the distribution of illegal drugs, and they are no longer a tenant of Barre Housing Authority. In terms of this incident that occurred the other day, Barre Housing Authority, they are aware of this incident, and they have already served the individual with initial letters, but there is a process. So, the main reason I wanted to sort of highlight this and point it out is that, Jamie and all of the staff work very hard. There is a process they have to follow. They take the safety and security of their tenants seriously. They react as quickly as they can, but thank God there is a process, because that's, the country we live in. They can expedite it in issues such as this, where someone is charged with selling a regulated drug out of a dwelling. But they're doing the very best they can, and they appreciate our support. So I just want, not necessarily the council, I know all of you know this, but folks who might be listening to understand that there's a process, and they do take the safety and security of their tenants seriously, and they react almost immediately. So with that, council, unless you have any questions, I don't believe we need an executive session. So a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Heartfelt thank yous to everyone who got me out